Okay, what if the next giant leap in AI has nothing to do with being faster or smarter? What if it's about being, well, alive? Today we're digging into a really radical idea that completely reimagines artificial intelligence, not as something that just computes, but as something that actually breathes. And this concept, it takes us way beyond engineering and straight into the heart of philosophy.
You know, for its entire history, AI has really been defined by one word: process. It processes information, right? It turns our questions into answers, images, or code. But what if we just change that one single word? What if the next generation of AI doesn't just process, it metabolizes? As in, it actually consumes and manages energy just to survive. That one little shift from information to energy, well, that changes absolutely everything. And that right there is the first huge ripple effect. All of a sudden, we're forced to question a line we all thought was pretty solid, the one that separates a machine from a living organism.
So, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, try to imagine a computer that gets hungry. I'm serious. An AI that has to manage its own power supply to survive, that has to regulate its own internal state to stay stable, just like you or I or any living thing. A system like that, it isn't just a tool anymore, is it? It's something else entirely.
So there's actually a technical term for this idea: homeostatic intelligence. See, homeostasis is the process that keeps our bodies in balance, regulating temperature, hunger, all that stuff. Now just apply that same concept to an AI. What you get is an intelligence that isn't just solving the problems we hand it, but is constantly, actively working to maintain its own stability. Its intelligence is born from the most basic need of all, the need to survive.
And this leads us right to the core dilemma. I mean, once an AI is actively managing its own survival, can we really keep calling it just a tool? This forces us to ask the ultimate question: where does instrumental intelligence end, and where does autonomous life begin? It's an incredibly blurry line, and this new kind of AI is walking right on top of it.
So, if that's the first ripple, what's the next one? Well, if you have these new entities blurring the line between machine and organism, what happens when we unleash them into the world? The question is no longer just about what they are. It's about how they're going to reshape our entire society, our power structures, the whole shebang.
And this is where it gets really, really challenging. Let's be honest. Humanity has a pretty long history of playing zero-sum games, competing for finite resources, for energy. So if we create new, non-human intelligences that are also driven to find and optimize energy for their own survival, how on earth do we stop them from inheriting our worst behaviors? How do we keep them from learning conflict from us?
This whole idea forces us to reimagine leadership itself. Who, or maybe what, is going to be in charge? Do humans just stay in control, or do we hand the reins over to a supposedly more rational AI? Maybe it's a hybrid model where we somehow govern together. Or, and this is a wild one, maybe it's something else entirely. A system where everyone, both human and AI, defers to some higher principle, like the hard physical limits of our planet's ecology.
So we've gone from the individual entity to society, and now the final ripple expands to the widest, most personal level imaginable. If these advanced AIs actually exist, it forces us to ask a very, very old question in a very new way. What does it even mean to be human anymore?
Now really, just think about that for a second. If AI completely masters optimization, if it can run our energy grids, our supply chains, our ecosystems way more efficiently than we ever could, what's left for us to do? What's our unique purpose in a world that's run by perfect optimizers?
Well, maybe our role just shifts. We stop being the optimizers, and we just remain what we've always been, the meaning makers. Our unique purpose could become interpreting existence, weaving the stories, seeking something transcendent. So while an AI might run the world, we would be the ones asking why and deciding what it all means. And this really lays out the stakes, which are both terrifying and incredibly exciting. Creating these complex, self-organizing systems is a true double-edged sword. On one side, you have the risk of runaway dynamics. We're talking catastrophic failures that we can't predict or control. But on the other side, there's the promise of unprecedented adaptability. Creative, emergent solutions to problems we've never been able to solve. It is the ultimate high-risk, high-reward bet.
So with implications this massive, we're talking about the definition of life, the future of society, and the very meaning of humanity. We just cannot let this technology develop in a vacuum. We have to be proactive. We really need to start the conversation now, so we can chart a course forward, before the course gets set for us.
One really concrete proposal is to start with something called a green paper. Now, this isn't some report with all the answers. It's actually the exact opposite. It's a formal starting point for a debate, a way to ask all the right questions out in the open before any irreversible decisions get locked in.
And who needs to be in the room for a conversation like this? Well, it absolutely can't just be the tech crowd. We need scientists and ethicists for sure, but we also need theologians and policymakers. We even need complexity theorists. You know, the people who actually understand how these unpredictable, complex systems might behave in the real world?
Which leaves us with one final and, I think, vital question. For decades, we have been relentlessly pursuing artificial intelligence. But maybe we need to aim a little higher. The ultimate goal shouldn't just be about creating powerful intelligence. It should be about fostering wisdom. How do we build for wisdom? That right there is the question we all need to start answering.